Sherry, would you start recording this part of the meeting? We can't record our speaker at 11, but we will record this part of the meeting.
Yep.
So just to let you know. Okay, so welcome everybody. My name is Bobby Wilson, and welcome to our February meeting. We're getting better and better at this Zoom thing, I think, and it's not like being in person, but I look forward to that day. But the nice thing is we can have people come from all over. So first of all, I want to introduce a guest, Alicia Bailey. And Alicia, if you want to unmute yourself and just say hi. Alicia's in Colorado. And
hello.
Hi there. And tell us about yourself. Alicia, is big in the bookbinding world, very big. So tell us about yourself.
Not to split hairs, but actually I'm not a bookbinder. I'm an artist who uses books, and
okay.
you know, binders are very skilled and trained and everything.
Yes.
So,
okay.
So I have a long love of Southern Arizona. I've spent winter trips down there quite a bit, and I was thrilled to learn that you have all these Zoom meetings for this year. So I thought, why not join PaperWorks? But yes, I'm in Denver. I've run a gallery for about 10 years, and now the gallery is closed, but I still represent artists and curate exhibits in other spaces and work on projects in my own studio.
Great, great. And she's friends with Laura Russell. So anyway, it's nice to have you with us, Alicia, and we look forward to hearing more from you. So that's great. And then I'd like to also introduce Nancy Wilkinson. Nancy there, and it's nice to meet you face to face.
Yeah, it is
say
nice.
Hi, and you want to introduce yourself. Nancy's multi-talented and very artistic.
Well, my husband and I have lived here for 10 years, and we came from Tacoma, Washington. So like everyone else, I'm thrilled to be here now. I'm a retired art teacher twice over now. I taught here in Tucson, but I'm actually not retired. I'm teaching at Canyon Ranch. I'm teaching art journaling as meditation to adults. And I've done workshops in New Zealand and in Costa Rica right before the pandemic hit. So I just got back from that. And so I'm doing a lot of online teaching as well. And I have a website right here, quietmoonphotos.com. And on this website, I have several mini art lessons, and they're very short. I did like one a week, so there's over 30, and that's been a lot of fun. And what I'm asking of the group is, do you know of any art studio that I could rent to do person to person once everything, you know, gets back to normal? Anyway, I'm looking for a studio because my house is kind of overcome with art supplies, and it would be great to be able to go someplace. So if you know any place close to the foothills, I would love to hear about that.
Great. And you can also write in the chat. So why don't you write that in the chat too? And then if people want to respond with that,
okay.
We can also.
And how do I get to the chat? I go, where's the chat?
The chat is at the bottom of the screen. You can push that little chat button, and then people's comments show up. You'll see what people are saying.
Okay. Not seeing that, but.
Okay. Well, you have an hour or two to figure it out. So you'll see.
If
she's on an iPad or an iPhone, because her picture is reduced, it might be in the upper right-hand corner. That's where my chat is on the iPad.
Okay, it is an iPad, and I found it. Woohoo! Okay. Thank you.
Good.
Yes.
So write that in, and then others of you, if you have some ideas for Nancy, let her know about a studio.
Thank you.
And you could also put in your website, Nancy, too.
Okay.
Get that into
Thank
the
you.
news also. Okay.
All righty.
So I want to move on, and we have a lot to go for this part of the meeting. I want to do a bit of a screen share, so bear with me. I'm going to try this. Okay, screen share, and I'm going to do my desktop, and I am going to do, hold on. Come on. Okay, so I want to talk about the February-March Members Challenge. And this is about the book exchange, a handmade book exchange. And it's for any of you who want to sign up. You can make 3 books, any theme, any binding, simple accordion, or experiment as you like, any size, blank or with content. And they can be the same, an edition of 3 or one-of-a-kind books. You could even pull out a few you've made a while ago, ready to leave the nest. So sign your work, take 3 photos of your books before you mail or deliver them to your 3 assigned people. The sign up is February 15th. That's just a few more days. So I have about 10 people signed up. It would be fun to have more. And I would love if you could sign up, and why don't you could do it right now and put your name in chat. And I think it's a fun kind of thing. Does anybody
Hey,
have any
Bobby.
questions about that?
You said sign it, so it's not secret like the postcard exchange or anything.
It's not
So
going to be
go ahead and
secret,
sign.
but
Okay.
yeah, it's really not going to be a secret thing.
Okay.
But I'll just assign everybody 3 people, and then that's who you're going to send your books to. But then we will be showing what the books were during April 8th. We'll have a slideshow of them. Okay. So I think it'll be a fun thing. And if you want to sign up today, just in the chat box, go ahead. Okay. Let's see. Linda, I think there's a couple people in the waiting room. And then I also wanted to talk about 20. Hold on. Well, let's see. Okay, 20 is our membership challenge. This is being our 20th year. And I've talked about this a couple of times, but you only have 2 months left to complete the challenge. So your challenge is due April 15th. And how do you relate to the number 20 or the concept of 20? What's so nice about this is that you can do any size work you want, any medium. It does not have to be a book. And for now, it's going to be virtual. But at the May meeting, we will be showing the entries, and then we will be voting on them. And we do have awards for the challenges. Also, we hope to do a catalog or a journal about it. So with 20, also, I'd love to hear from you. And if you want to write it in the chat, if you could tell me if you would like to do this, or if you plan on doing this challenge or have something in mind with it. Okay, any questions on that? Okay, I'm going to stop my share, and I am going to ask, let's see, Joe Anderson. About the Poetry Center. We have a big exhibit coming up next year. But Joe Anderson, can we spotlight you a minute?
Yeah.
Where are you? There you are.
Right. Yeah. I just wanted to say that we are really honored that the Poetry Center wants to give us another exhibit there. Yes, we have a good reputation there, and we're working on trying to get as many members to submit artist books as possible. Let's see. It's from April 5th through June 25th of 2022. That sounds way off in the distance, but the entry deadline is December 15th. And one of the things that's really important with this is that it's books and that it's language inspired or language let's see, driven, I guess, so that you have some use of language. And on the website and in the e-news, there was a notice that we're going to start up our creative meetup that has to do with language and words and images in books. And let's see, what did we say here? I got all this over here. I'm sorry, I have a cold, so I'm a little stuffy, but can anyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Good. Yeah, so we are working on getting this new creative meetup group starting on Saturday, this coming Saturday at 10 o'clock. Sherry's going to host us in the Zoom meeting and let people in and all of that. But it's a members gathering just to start getting people more excited and bringing more books into form. And I'm thinking that this first one, Maria Lee, is going to talk a bit about a book that she made and her process and how words worked with the images, or how she came about this particular book. And if there's time, I'll talk about a book of mine as well and my process. And then we're just going to talk as a group, hopefully, about what we can do to help support each other and going forward into making really wonderful books for this exhibit. And believe that there are, Sherry and Anita had talked about next month, talking about their collaboration book and how they're going about it. And we're encouraging collaboration for this. So if you feel you're not as strong in, one or the other, maybe meet up with someone and work with someone on your book. But Saturday, 10 a.m. Zoom meeting. And on the website and in the last news, there was a Zoom link. So I think
Right.
that's everything. Yeah.
Yes.
And I just wanted to end with a beautiful write-up about the exhibit, which is called Imagine, that Anita wrote. And let's see, the title of the show is spelled phonetically. I don't know if you can see that or if it's reversed, but it says Imagine, and this is what she wrote. So this might inspire you to create a book for this. And anyone who's a member can participate in this exhibit. So imagine, phonetically pronounce it, say it to yourself, imagine it, spell it, spill it into the world. As human beings, we're more imaginative than any other species on our planet. As art makers, we float our imaginations inside the empty space of our creativity, enlivening, enhancing, and enacting our ideas. To imagine is to dream, to fantasize, to hope, to plan, and also to fear. It's about curiosity and wonder, possibility and impossibility. More than almost anything, imagination sparks and brings our collective future into being. The more we use it, the better we get at it. Imagine it, word it, artist book it, propel it out into the world to be seen and heard. So,
That's great.
yeah, I think she did a great job. So anyway, that gives you a lot about the concept of this exhibit. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thanks, Joe.
Sure.
And if you want to sign up or need more information, email Joe or write it in the chat and we'll get back to you. But the link is in the e-news and on our webpage to that meeting. Open to all. Okay, let's move on. Sue Agnew, are you here? I didn't see you.
I'm here.
Oh, okay, there you are. Say hi and tell us about the postcard exchange.
Well, if you've been participating in the postcard exchange, this is just a real quick reminder. There's a couple more weeks left. It ends at the end of February. And please don't forget to take pictures of the cards you send and send them to me by email. I'll put the email in the chat. I've gotten some really fun cards and I've gotten lots of fun pictures. So send them to me as soon as February is done, and I'll hopefully have them for the March meeting in a slideshow.
Great. The big reveal will be in March next month. Thanks. Thanks, Sue. Okay, we decided at our last board meeting to do a show and tell, and we'd like all of you to participate in this. And then we thought, everybody's up to such wonderful creative things. So, but instead of taking your piece of artwork and, putting it up to the screen like this, we thought it would be nicer if you could just email Michelle a few pictures of what you're working on, and she's going to do a little slideshow. So Michelle, if you want to unmute yourself, and I think we're going to have to let you share screen then too. Michelle, we can't hear you.
And unmute. There we go.
There you go. Okay.
Let's start with Alicia Bailey. She just introduced herself to us, and yours are first, Alicia. I think there's 3, so I will let you talk about yours first.
Okay, well, this is an older piece, but it fits the February 14th theme. It's called Tea Mania, and it was inspired by my parents' story of love at first sight. And it includes a musical component, written component, visual component, a sachet of herbs to make a love potion, and a recipe book, and an audio CD. And I collaborated with writers and visual artists and musicians and some actors to put this whole piece together. It was really great. And I think the book form is so perfect for expressing these very complex ideas in a compact form.
Do they all go inside the tin?
Yeah, another
Okay.
piece, another image might show that.
Okay. Can I not? There we go.
So this is a Claire Van Vliet interwoven structure, so there's no glue necessary for this structure.
Sorry, I was trying to write the name down before I moved on. Claire Van Vliet?
Van Vliet, it's V-A-N, V as in Victor, L-I-E-T. And your group might be interested in knowing about a book that she published called Woven Interlocking Structures or something like that, that's been out of print but is now available as a free downloadable PDF. And I can either put it in the chat if I can track down the URL, or maybe have it for your next meeting.
Yeah, if somebody could Google that while we're moving through, I bet somebody will find it.
So this is the box that everything fits in, and it's very small. It's maybe 6 by 8 inches or something, and it also utilizes a laser cutter. This is one of the first projects I did with the laser cutter. So all that text is laser etched, and the components were cut out with a laser. And I couldn't have done it without that technology for sure.
Yeah, I love this little small hinged book.
Yeah, well, my mother was a musician, a pianist, and she and my father met because of an interest in music. And so that's actually using what's called a piano hinge. So that's how it ended up in there.
Aww. Every book, every quilt, every art piece has a story. Thank you, Alicia.
Sure.
Bobby, you're next. We have some great eco dyeing.
Yeah, so these are just, this is from my book, Rock, Paper, Leaf, I think, and it's just eco-dyed pages and haikus that I wrote, and I typed them with my Smith Corona typewriter that I hadn't typed on for 30 years, I think, and keys skipped and you couldn't control it. And, but it's kind of like eco-dyeing. You can't really control your results, so.
A good pairing.
And then those are some more eco dyes. Actually, they're they're mounted on wood panel and covered with an encaustic wax on them. And I brought these 3 pieces. I didn't make them recently. They were made last year or 2 years ago, but I just brought them to Hona Chul. So they're going to be in a little show there.
Which show, Bobby, and when does it start?
Well, it's kind of a few PaperWorks meet. They don't have shows now. He's kind of
Oh, okay.
putting stuff in.
Oh,
So,
good. Well, let us know when it's available.
okay. And that's the front of the book.
Hmm,
It has an encaustic cover and beads and eco-dyed pages.
that's gorgeous.
And that's a panel of eco-dyeing. I call it The Mountains Are Pink. And that's the time of the day I love. And so anyway, that's a eco-dyed panel on a wood panel. It's prettier up close, but anyway. Thanks, Michelle.
Gorgeous. And these, I have to go to the name, Jerry. These are Jerry Morano's. And if you're talking, Jerry, you're on mute because we can't hear you. I know Jerry was on the meeting.
There I am. Is
There
that-
you are.
Oh, I am humiliated.
No.
I sent these to Michelle instead of to Sue Agnew. Oops. So, unsurprised, my secret postcard pals.
Well, we have another big reveal then.
I know it's a big reveal.
No worries. They're
These are-
beautiful.
Postcards. I had fun.
Well, we'll just like skip quickly over the next one. How's that? And these are, is Krista on? I didn't hear her and I didn't see
Krista
her.
isn't here today. She had an unexpected doctor's
Okay.
appointment.
Okay, well, we will enjoy her beautiful postcard even though she's not here. That's Krista's and a little bowl that Krista made. And more Valentine themes.
Nice.
And I know I saw Laura.
I'm here.
There you are.
This is my new book called Sentinels of the Desert, and it is all about our fabulous saguaro cactuses here, or cacti. It's a structure that's called the Pivoting Panorama book that was developed by Haiti Kyle, and she features it in her most recent book called The Art of the Fold. And it's a really fantastic structure. It's an accordion with these panels that move back and forth where you see the color images. The front side of the book is what you're seeing now, and it includes a timeline of the life cycle of the saguaro cactuses. So it shows you how high they grow and some of their milestones, like 35 years, they grow 6 feet, and that's when they have their first flowers. So it's kind of the life cycle of the saguaro, all the way from seed to the skeleton on the right. And that's just the book spread out, so you can see the whole front side of it. And this is the back side, and it includes a really long poem that I wrote about the saguaros. And I did this book for a call for entries in San Francisco at the San Francisco Center for the Book. The theme of the show was reclamation, and it was all books about the environment. So the poem on the back is about climate change and its effect on the saguaros, and the fire danger, and about the June bighorn fire is mentioned in there as well. So I wanted to use words on the back of this book because so often on this particular structure, the back side of the book is ignored, where I think the back side of the book gives you a really great opportunity to really round out the concept of the book and incorporate and go deeper into the book. So this is as much about the words as it is about the visuals in this particular book. So that's it.
One more.
Oh, that's a close-up of the front.
Close up. Just gorgeous.
So, thank you.
And Mara, I know you're still here. There you are.
Yes, still here. I've been playing around with some of the papers I brought with me. My work changes when I come to the desert. All of a sudden things other than black appear, which is always a surprise. But I've been having some fun. The piece, kind of the purple on the right-hand side, is part of a jelly print. And then I'm a minimalist in my work. I love negative space. I love things that are very simple, clean. And a little story, the scribble that you see in almost all of my pieces is kind of about my journey as an artist. And you will also see a small dot in all of my pieces. And that is a tribute to my father, who was a career painter and sculptor, and who really encouraged us to be creative and imaginative from a very early age. And I always think about him when I'm working, and I wonder what he would think about my work these days. And the dot also holds special meaning in that we had this amazing piece in our house that was at the Art Institute for a long time, and then it came home. And he made it. It was sky, earth, and water, all done from punched holes with a hole punch. And it was layer upon layer of colored paper, and you could see all the way through it. And it was about 7 feet tall. It was a huge piece, absolutely stunning. And so I walked by that almost every day of my life. And so the dot, that's why the dot also speaks to me, and why you see it in most of my work. Once again, my minimalist style. Been playing around lately with a long black line and some mark making that goes off of a kind of off-centered. So that's one of these pieces. And this one is the pattern paper that you see. I started a project. The news was really upsetting me this past year. So I went on a 4-month news fast, and I did not watch or listen to anything. My husband would tell me if something was important and I needed to pay attention. But what I decided to do was to take the New York Times that he reads every Sunday and do tape transfers off of that, and take the little bits and pieces of the newspaper and put them together in such a way that it would make something abstract and beautiful out of what was upsetting me. So I then took those, the pieces that I made, and I scanned them into the computer, and I would blow them up in various sections. And the part of the pattern you see there is part of one of the pieces that I had done, blown up and cut up into a smaller piece. So I've been working with those a little bit, and I ended up doing the whole 36-page sketchbook for the sketchbook project in Brooklyn, New York, done out of these pieces from the New York Times, along with some black lines and some circles. And so this is very reminiscent of the collages that were in that book.
Your pieces are fairly big, aren't they, Mara?
Yes, 9 by 12, 11 by 14, sometimes bigger. I'm also working here. I brought a bunch of enormous wood panels, much to my husband's chagrin. So those are being painted, varnished, papered, etc. in the backyard. And this was just from playing around with some paper that I was stamping and making. I got an enormous roll of rice paper the other day. And so I was just doodling on some and playing around. So as you can see, I am a minimalist. I just can't help myself. Very rarely do I fill up the page, but that's kind of my fun.
Beautiful, Mara.
Thank you. Oh, and this was one I love to every once in a while challenge myself with stuff I don't a lot work with, which is like found papers. So in this is a Chinese back of a Chinese blueprint. The kind of black and white little piece up there is from a carved stamp I made, found magazine piece, etc., and kind of just put them together in a very monochromatic way.
And then for the grand finale.
Oh, yes. So here's the colors of the desert. So I've been sending my mother and sister what I call little art hugs lately. So I will make them a postcard size piece. These are small, and mail it to them as a little hug from the desert, since they couldn't come down here with me this year. And so the colors of your beautiful landscape do affect me quite a bit. This is never something I would do at home. These colors are almost upsetting to me in some ways, but I had fun doing them. So I've got a bunch of really colorful pieces coming up. Everyone's a little shocked.
Yeah, when I saw that, I thought, whoa, it's Mara's style. What are these colors?
Yep.
Beautiful.
And my neighbor at home keeps asking, he's like, where's the black art? When's it coming back? So
Beautiful, Mara.
So thank you, ladies.
Yeah, you're welcome. This one's mine. It's not paper, obviously. This is a quilt 48 inches in diameter that I started 3 years ago. This is a story of persistence. I bought the pattern and lots and lots and lots and lots of fabric, and I couldn't figure out the pattern. It was just really poorly illustrated and written. And I'd pull it out and I'd work on it and make notes and I'd put it away, and I'd pull it out and I'd get frustrated and I'd throw it in the closet. Then I tried to give it away to somebody. Here, you take it. Somebody needs to do it. And she didn't want it. And finally in November, I pulled it back out and I just did it all pieced together with paper first, because I didn't want to cut into the fabric. It was quite a lot of fabric. And I just persisted until it finally came together after much teeth gnashing. So this is the Rising Phoenix. I made it for my oldest child. This is not hand stitching, machine quilting on my home machine. So none of this is hand stitched. It's not done on a long arm. This is all on the home machine. That's why it's a little wobby sobby and not perfect, which I love. And then just to give you an idea of the size. So it will be a wall quilt and hang on a wall. It's in transit to be delivered today.
It's beautiful.
Thank you. And Sue, I saw Sue. Yep, you talked earlier, Sue.
Now I feel really stupid because this is just a goofy little thing I made for my sister for her Christmas stocking, because she gave me a few years, we exchange stockings every year, and she gave me these clips. And I have one here that's the fox. They're woodland creatures. And so whenever she would visit, she told me I almost didn't get them because she liked them so much. So when she would visit, I would always very ostentatiously use them in front of her. And so over the years, a couple of them have broken the little plastic thing inside. And so I was feeling bad this year because I didn't shop very much and I didn't have much to put in her stocking. And then I saw that I had saved these broken ones. So I made a little book out of the broken ones. And I wrote a little story about a hedgehog and a fox, and then did an accordion and wrote the story just by hand on the accordion, and then fastened it with ribbon, which kind of didn't work so well because of the interior parts conflict with each other. So the book didn't really close all the way, but she really liked it and I had a good time. So
I love it. I love the story. I love reusing something that was so special and exchanged. I think it's just great, Sue. I love it. Thank you
I
for
had
sharing.
a really good time writing the story because I had it open on my desktop, and then I just kept adding little things. Like, for example, the hedgehog's name is Muriel because of the book, The Elegance of the Hedgehog, and I refer to her as being elegant in the story. And there's a fox, and what did the fox say, and you know, all that stuff.
I love it.
That's great, Sue.
Well, thanks to everyone who sent show and tell. If you like this idea, we'll keep moving forward with this and do it until we can be together in person. I know one of my favorite things about being together in person and going to quilt meetings and book meetings is seeing what everybody else created. So hopefully you enjoyed that, and we'll keep going.
Great. Thank you, Michelle, for doing this. And I encourage any of you to continue to send in what you've been working on, and we can have a little slideshow every meeting. I think that's a great way to know each other and get to know each other a little bit better. So we're running a little late, but and I want to get to our scholarship person, Sophia, but I really need to first quickly talk to Rebecca. Rebecca Gons is our Meetup person, and Meetups are small groups that get together. Now we're getting together via Zoom, but we have some really strong groups that are meeting. And where is Rebecca? She's going to talk about that.
I'm here.
Okay.
Thank you, Bobby. And yes, we are definitely picking up some speed with our different meetups. There's two in particular that I just want to go over real quickly here today, since I've been given the opportunity to mention that the repurposing paper for art is going quite well. And I've got some examples to show you of what we do. Why we get together is a lot of what you've seen today, beautiful works of art that are made from, new materials or creating something. Well, our group has a passion for using things to repurpose them, to recycle them. So if you're interested in anything like that, please join us. We also are getting ready to, I don't know what just happened. We're getting ready to launch this altered book group, and the altered book group is, okay.
Miriam?
Bobby,
Oh, excuse me. Miriam, you are screen saving right now. We're seeing your screen, Miriam Ate.
Screen sharing.
Screen
yeah,
share.
Yeah.
and I still have something to screen share. It won't let me do it until she drops off, so.
Okay, so Miriam, could you get out? Okay, thank you.
So here is an example. So take a look at this particular presentation. And what I'd like you to be aware of is that some of these things involve altered books. You will see a group on the website now that's trying to drive traffic toward creating altered books from items we get from Jerry Morano. So that gives you an idea of some of the things we're working on. Our next meeting, the second Tuesday of March, we're going to be brainstorming ideas for this 20 challenge and possibly working on things together. So if you'd like to join us, just please feel free to email me. Also, if you're interested in doing the altered books, the vintage books, also please email me. I'm able to help you set up a Zoom and actually organize it. Thanks, Bobby.
Thank you, Rebecca. The groups are great and that slideshow was wonderful. So thank you for doing that. It's great to see everybody's work and what you've been up to. So I appreciate it. Okay, moving on. I can't wait to introduce to you Sophia, and I'm not sure how you say your last name, Sophia, Anzeldua.
That's actually really good.
Okay,
Yeah.
and if we could put the spotlight on Sophia, Sherry or Linda, if you could spotlight Sophia. Sophia is our scholarship winner from University of Arizona. We awarded her $1,000 last May. And usually in May, our students come to our meeting and show us their work and talk about it. But anyway, we are lucky to have her, Sophia, with us here now, and she's going to talk about her work and about herself. Okay, Sophia, I'm turning it over to you.
Okay, thank you. Here we go. Okay, is it sharing?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Oh, it started at the end.
There you go.
Okay. So again, my name is Sophia Anzeldua, and like Bobby just shared, I'm a student at the University of Arizona. I am majoring in illustration, and I have the hopes of going on to study medical illustration, actually at a grad school, hopefully the University of Illinois, Chicago. There's only 3 schools in the whole country that do this. So it's a little bit challenging to get in. Also, my video has stopped and I keep trying to start it again, and it says that I have been taken away permission.
Okay, Sherry, can we?
As long as the screen sharing, I guess that's all right.
Can you go to your next slide?
Yes.
Yeah, we don't see your face.
Okay.
There you
Oh,
go.
here we go. All right. So here are some portraits, and I just put them together in one go to kind of show you them together. But these all started actually with, oh, what is it? With this portrait right here. It's a self-portrait that I had done for a class. And I was actually trying to be silly, and I was wearing my pajamas. This is one of those self-portraits that I actually did with a mirror, which was actually really challenging, especially because I did it with watercolor. And I was painting it at like 3 a.m. most of the time, because as a student, that's usually when we end up having free time. And when I turned it in, I thought it was so surprising that everybody kept talking about how feminine it was. And I was like, I'm in my pajamas and making a silly face. I don't get it. So I started to decide to kind of explore, like what is femininity, and like how do different people present it? Because in my head, I wasn't presenting femininity, but that's what people were seeing. So I decided to kind of ask a lot of women in my life. I mean, obviously as many as I could paint. So far, as you can see, the series is pretty short, but I asked them to kind of present their femininity in the way that they wanted to. And I would do portraits of them. So here's one of them. This one is actually a lithograph. So it's kind of the odd one out of the group because most of them are watercolor. But I asked her, and she said, at the time she was 18, and she said, I feel kind of very exposed at the moment because I'm in that transition between girl and woman, and it's very uncomfortable for me to be so sexualized, but I also kind of feel very mature and grown up in my body. So it's kind of like that juxtaposition of feelings. And I tried to kind of explore that with the medium by having kind of very rendered out parts and then other parts that were just line art. I don't think it was super terribly successful, but I gave it a go, and it's kind of an experimentation piece. I then went on to continue with my watercolors again. So this one's another young woman I asked, and she had a completely different perspective of femininity. And she said, I feel most confident and feminine and comfortable with my womanhood when I'm being assertive and very confident and kind of being the one that's in charge. So she said, I want to be wearing like a suit, and I want to be the one that's presenting the flowers to the viewer. I don't want to be the woman getting the flowers. So here's this one other piece, watercolor as well. They're pretty large, 16 by 20 inches. And then this last piece actually won me an award. I asked her, this young woman as well, you know, like, what is your definition of your femininity? And she was like, you know, frankly, I don't feel terribly feminine. She had a shaved head for a while, and she has tattoos, and she has lots of piercings. And she was like, but, you know, I still do, I'm aware that I'm a feminine woman, and I appreciate the softness in myself. So this is how she chose to portray herself. I feel like mostly like they were doing a lot of the thinking for me, and I was just kind of capturing it. But as you can see, all of them ended up using kind of a flower motif to kind of, it's such a traditional item given to women and used to portray women. And I just kind of wanted to play around with it and juxtapose it again with however they wanted to present themselves, be it in a very traditional way or in an untraditional way. So those are my portraits. I hope they still grow, and I am completely aware that this is just my age group, of course, and I would love to extend that and have women of different ages and of different backgrounds. And I mean, yeah, because I'm like, this is a very small group, and I feel kind of very bad that I'm like, this is women, and it's not. But I would like it to grow, of course.
Sophia, they're beautiful paintings. They're amazing. My goodness. Yeah. They're wonderful.
Hopefully, sorry. But so I wanted to include a ceramic piece. I thought it would be fun because this is kind of my first ever attempt at 3D, actually. And I think this ties in well with the PaperWorks that I'm going to be showing in a bit. But 3D gave me kind of a very exciting revolution in my head of I can have my work be seen from many angles, as I was traditionally very 2D paintings, only seen from, you know, the front. And then I had this exciting revelation that artwork can be seen from different angles and can be interacted with, and it can be useful. So this was actually a really good introduction to me for some of the later works that I'm going to be using. But I was actually really proud of this one. I think it's so lovely. The project was called Food Completes It, where the actual food item that goes in it kind of completes the artwork. Unfortunately, I wasn't very good at photographing a lettuce as a salad inside a bowl. It kept looking at really gross. I was like, okay, we're just gonna do the bowl itself because I don't have that mastery of food photography like some people can do really good at. But here's another piece, and I think you're gonna see that there's lots of nature in all of my work, and plants and kind of organic shapes. It began out of kind of cheating. I was like, oh, a plant can look like a plant even if it doesn't look like the plant I'm looking at. But it kind of ended up becoming a theme that I really quite enjoy. This project was a study of anatomy, actually, where I spent a whole 2 semesters learning all kinds of stuff about anatomy. And then I had to use another kind of item to portray the anatomy. And I decided to go with plant life. And I think it's kind of a fun take on, you know, like growth and growing as a person and having it be portrayed with plants. It's not super deep. I wish it had more deep meaning, but it was just kind of a learning challenge of trying to portray the human body without actually using the body. And then here we have some of my actual little PaperWorks. I will have to apologize for the photographs. I you know, unfortunately don't have the best tools nowadays to photograph a lot of my work, so I kind of had to make do with what I had. But this piece right here, I made it for Cerese's class, which, like I said, was just life-changing for me to realize that my illustrations could be presented in a format that is interactable. Had never even imagined that I could make an illustration or an image that somebody could hold and open and close and flip through. And it was just like, oh wow, like this gives like a whole new perspective to it, and I really want to explore it. So this piece right here is kind of a tiny poem about just kind of relief about having a weight taken off your shoulders, and I wanted to make it as small as possible. So it's just about this big, 2 by 4 inches. I could have gone smaller, but I'm still not skilled enough at folding and all of that. So I had to go with the size that I could still fold in a beautiful way, hopefully. And I wanted it to open and have this beautiful a maiden hair fern. I've been kind of really obsessed with ferns lately. Over COVID, I started buying so many plants. So I think the plants themselves kind of gave me a lot of joy and help with the mental health aspects during all of this, because I felt like I was still taking care of something and I felt useful, and these little plants were kind of relying on me to survive. So it was kind of, I know people have pets, and unfortunately in my living situation I can't have plants, but this is kind of the art piece to kind of thank my plants and kind of put a positive spin on everything that's going on. Here's another piece. It's also kind of related to a lot of what's been happening. It's called Chrysalis. And as you can see, it's kind of like a little cocoon, a chrysalis. And it has to do with how we're kind of stuck at home so much lately. And I feel like a lot of people were seeing, and of course it has a lot of negatives, but I wanted to see it as a positive and think about how we're still having so much change inside. It doesn't have to be happening out there, but we can be growing inside in our hearts and, self-care, kind of exploring who we are as people on our own. I got to really get to know myself the last few months, and it's very scary to be alone with your thoughts so much, but I wanted to kind of be like, like I'm meeting myself in a new way. So that's kind of like the feeling behind this piece. And also I kind of just love pieces now that you can open and reveal more stuff. I think that's the most magical thing about books nowadays. Here's another one where you can just open and peer into it. And it's untitled, unfortunately. It's not, again, a super deep piece or anything, but since all of this has been going on, my friend and I will both drive up to Mount Lemon, and we don't have any activities that we can be excited about, but we're like, oh, there's a full moon coming up and we're just gonna go up there and look at it. Like, that's all we can do. And it's like socially distant and it's safe, and we just like sit in each other's in like our own cars, and we're like, wow, it's so bright out here, we don't need lights, like it's really, but that's kind of what I've been up to, of like going and being exciting about the stages, like the moon cycle, just the little joys that I'm still getting out of this, basically. And then, that's the end of it. I did want to share one image of, how am I doing on time, by the way, Bobby?
A couple more minutes. It's
A couple?
10:55, so we're starting at 11 with our speaker. Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna share really quickly this other image of something that I'm working on, and I completely forgot to include it into my PowerPoint, but these aren't come together yet, but I'm making these books out of fabric to kind of show how history of women gets rewritten by men, unfortunately, and it kind of gets corrupted and changed along the way. So these ones are specifically for Greek myths and transformation of women. So you can see Medusa here, who unfortunately suffered terrible fate and was punished for it. I also have Echo, who lost her body and became just, an echo. And then finally have Arachne, who was punished for being proud of her skills and turned into a spider. So I kind of thought this was a really interesting theme. I'm making them out of fabric. I have here, I'm holding a little fabric book this is just a dummy, it's very beginning kind of mock-ups, but I'm very excited about this project because I'm learning a lot, and it's something that I hadn't done before because I'm working with fabric and with books, and I kind of new at both of them, and I'm being too challenging, but I'm excited for it, and I think it's very fun.
Wow, that's wonderful. Sophia, I think that's absolutely marvelous what you've been up to. And I love that your, books are expanding, artist books are expanding your world too. If anybody has a comment that they want to unmute themselves.
I do.
Okay, yes, Sherry?
Sophia, you apologize too much for your work because it's fabulous and you have no reason to apologize. You're
Thank
doing
you
a
so much.
wonderful job. You're learning, you're growing. Go for it, girl.
Go for it. Yeah. Yes. Jerry.
Thank you. I have a question, Sophia. I didn't understand at the beginning. You said are you a senior at U of A?
Yes, I'm a
And you're
senior.
hoping to go to graduate school where?
It's the University of Illinois at Chicago. They have a biomedical illustration program there.
Biomedical illustration. Okay. Good luck to you.
Thank
That's
you.
wonderful.
Mimi.
Best of luck. It's exquisite work.
Yes,
Thank you
it
so
is.
much.
Mimi wants to say something?
Sophia, yes, I have a question for you. I wanted to know if you ever took any printmaking classes at the U of A with Aaron Coleman.
I did. Yes, that lithograph was actually with him.
Oh, wow, he's awesome. And the reason I bring it up in this group is because a dear friend of mine who is a member of PaperWorks died in March from COVID, and her name was Gloria Isaac Morton, and a wonderful person, but she was a printmaker and she had this fabulous press. And so after she died, I told her daughter that I would deal with her artwork, anyway, the press went to Aaron, and I'm just so thrilled that someone so great, is got the press. And so, yeah, if you see him, just tell him that Mimi said hi and that I'm so happy once again that press in honor of Gloria went to him and his wonderful.
I'm very sorry about your loss, but I think it's wonderful that her artwork and that her tools will help more people to explore this beautiful medium. Printmaking is just so exciting, honestly. Thank you. I'll be sure to say hi to him for you.
Good, and good luck to you. You're fabulous, and your figurative work is unbelievably awesome.
Yes. So, Sophia, I want to thank you for joining us, and I hope that you will continue to, well, you're a senior this year, so you'll be graduating, but, continue to be a part of PaperWorks. And we give you a free membership when you get a scholarship. So if you want to join in any of our challenges or the Poetry Center exhibit coming up, which is a book, artist book, please feel free to be part of that. So you have wonderful ideas. So stay in touch with us. We want to hear more. Thank you. And just since we're running out of time, I just want to say that next Thursday, February 18th, there is a donors and scholars virtual reception, and it's from the University of Arizona School of Art. Usually I go to this and it's down at the university, and I represent PaperWorks. This year it's virtual at 5 p.m. And I'm sure, Sophia, you'll probably be going to this, I think, I don't know, but it's the people who have given scholarships and the donors, and you see some of their work. So if anybody here in PaperWorks also wants to go to this, next Thursday at 5 p.m., I'll send you the Zoom link, and you can see what the students have been up to. And it's very uplifting to see that. The other thing I'd like to say real quickly too is that this year, because of Zoom and not meeting in person, we have not been able to raise as much money to give to our scholarship funds. the board met, and we really don't want to stop doing that. We think it's a really important part of PaperWorks, but we appreciate you, our members. Some of you have given some nice donations to our scholarship fund. There is a button on our webpage that goes directly to our scholarship fund, and some people have been donating, or with their membership renewal, they've been adding a few dollars to it. So we really appreciate that. So keep you posted. All right, take a deep breath. We have a lot to cover, so much great stuff going on with our group. So it's 11 o'clock, and I'm going to start our program with